First thing I wanted to ask is Sodie. Where does the name come from? I've never heard the name and it's sweet.
It is an original. My dad's initials are S.O., and so my mom affectionately referred to him as So or Sodie. And then I was born, my real name's Wesley, but they always called me Baby Sodie. And then by the time I had like a brain, everyone called me Sodie.
Wesley, I did not know that.
Only times I've been called Wesley are when I got made fun of in elementary school, Wesley. And then a couple girls that I dated referred to me as Wesley, but it's always been Sodie.
Do you ever get Wesley from The Princess Bride?
That is part of the reason I was named Wesley, actually. It was a combo. So he's Westley with a T, but my dad's middle name was Wesley. So they named me after the movie, but spelled it like my dad's dad, my grandpa. So yes, absolutely. Inconceivable. Yeah, dude.
I love it. So, dude, I'm so excited for this conversation because you are a man of many talents. You wear a lot of different hats.
I certainly wear a lot of hats.
And from what I know, there's musician, there's rapper, there's former athlete, there's businessman. So where do you think we should start with the story?
Probably, I mean, the music is my thing. Music in all aspects. We should probably start there. And that starts with my parents. So my dad's been a full-time musician since I was born. My mom was a singer for a long time in LA. She's with the LA Jazz Choir. You met Jill.
Wonderful woman.
She's super cool. And she's my boss in the day now. So, and then her and my dad split when I was young, and she married a Grammy Award-winning guitarist who's now my partner in the Swingin Johnsons, Wayne Johnson. So the three of them and me are the musical ones, and there's no one else musical in our whole family, but being surrounded by pretty much everyone in my immediate life as a child, they're musicians, and I couldn't escape it. I tried. That's where like football comes in, because I was like, it's hard being a musician. It's hard being an artist. And I saw some of the difficulties of it, and I thought, I want to do something else. I rapped in football locker rooms. It was always there. That's how I made friends when I moved high schools. And then when I went to Cal Poly, let me be clear, I wasn't much of an athlete. I was a long snapper. And I'm not knocking long snappers, by the way. I love long snappers, but it's a skill. It's like almost like an Olympic sport, like shot put. Like it doesn't really apply to anything athletic besides the thing. But it was enough I got a preferred walk-on to Cal Poly, meaning I didn't get a scholarship the first year, but if I did well and continued, I would have been scholarshiped. But yeah, even there, like I was rapping on the football team and rapping in my dorm. And so the segue to music is I quit football first. I knew I wanted to do music, but I was going to Cal Poly. It's a great school. I was studying psychology. And we were supposed to go on a camping trip with mutual friends that that I found out.
Right.
And I got a text from my mom. I think she called me and she said, "Hey, you want to be like this rapper? There's a showcase in LA this weekend. You should come down and perform." And I was like, "Yeah, but we got a camping trip. I don't really want to miss like the bro time." And she's like, "Well, you think about it, because I feel like if you go to this, it could be a really good opportunity." So I decided I was going to miss the camping trip. Drove down to LA, went to La Fonda Supper Club in LA, where I think it was 27 people performed. And out of those 27, apparently I was the only one that got like a tap on the shoulder, and it was from an A&R from Atlantic Records. And he was like, "I think you're really talented." I did 3 songs that I had written in the dorm to beats that were on YouTube.
Wow.
And he's like, "I want to meet with you." So we met with him the next week or the week after. I brought my guitar because I kind of like I never took lessons, singing or guitar lessons, but I always played. So I brought that and I played like a Sublime song and I rapped for him, and he's like, "I want to sign you. I want to sign you to a 360 deal," which, are you familiar?
I'm not familiar, so I'm sure a lot of people listening too aren't. So tell us, what is a 360 deal?
A 360 deal essentially is considered a terrible deal in the music industry, right? It's like a development deal. So, and I don't even fully understand it still, which is terrible. But I was like 18, 19 when I signed this and didn't really get into the paperwork much. I did have an attorney that helped me, a family friend. But essentially, it's like a development deal. So they bring you in the studio, they put you with producers and anything you could possibly need, and then they develop you. And then when they feel you're ready, they pitch you to whatever label they're affiliated with. And like the first year, it was like they get 50% of everything. And then as time goes on, that percentage decreases because the idea is that the income increases. So they're making more money with less percentage. That's the goal. So I signed that deal. And now I'm like, okay, I'm at Cal Poly, but I'm in this deal with this guy in LA. What do I do? And my decision was to take a leave of absence from Cal Poly and just go for that like 100%. And I did. Um, to summarize what happened, essentially, I, shortly after leaving Cal Poly, found some things that changed the way I thought, psychedelics, and it was like a beautiful experience the first time, and it helped me tap into emotions and feelings and thoughts that I never really accessed growing up. There was a lot of like anger I had and repressed stuff, lack of accountability for my actions, that all in the first experience like hit me in the face.
Just kind of ripped the lid off
It did.
everything.
It totally did. And so it was beautiful. I cried a bunch for the first time in a while. I addressed family members that I had, I was a dick in the situation and I wasn't taking accountability for it. I sent long texts that day, and made amends, and it was a beautiful thing. So I felt like the timing of me finding that with me leaving school to be a rapper and being from North County, San Diego, it was a very idyllic childhood. Not much to rap about, right? I'm a lyricist. I was emulating people that I listened to. And I tried to keep it like real to my life. And a lot of my early raps were about like burritos, like the Mexican spot that I go to and like the beach, which is cool, but it's like, it wasn't really, I wasn't connecting with my own music.
Yeah.
And then when I did that, it was like, this is what I talk about. So I spent the next year like making this psychedelic rap project. And of course, I listened to Chance the Rapper and the Underachievers and Flatbush Zombies and these guys that were kind of paving the way for that style, but with my own complete twist on it. And to my friends that were there for those experiences, it was a legendary project. For everyone else, what are you talking about? Basically, like I would talk about specific days where we went to a specific place and something happened. Like we went to a park one time. We were trying to find a spot to smoke a spliff. Couldn't find it for an hour. We're on mushrooms. It's a little hectic. And then we just both stop at the same time and look at each other. My buddy goes, "This is the spot." And there's a song that this is the spot, stuff like that. It was silly. It was fun. And it was like, I had good intention behind it, but I was very in my own, kind of full of my own whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe didn't have the mass appeal of people who would understand it if they weren't there on that day with the inside joke.
Correct. And from the perspective of like an A&R from a business standpoint, by the way, this guy and his partner like are crushing it. They discovered amazing people who at the time were just starting that are huge names now. And I'm like, my studio session, their studio session, like right next to each other. And I wasn't listening to them. I thought, I knew everything, which is common, I think, when you're 19, 20 years old. You think you know everything, and especially when you find something that you think is like you're this like explorer that found this new land. Bro, there was 2 decades of it, the 60s and 70s, like we've already been there. So I wasn't really aware of the history. And to make this very long story shorter, I kept doing my own thing. I didn't listen to them, and slowly but surely like ostracized myself from that situation. So now it has been like 2 years since I left Cal Poly. I didn't like reapply for the leave of absence. So I'm out of the school. I'm slowly not being invited to the studio for sessions because they're blowing through money on recording these songs that I'm not taking. They would like have advice, people, writers I should work with, like certain things that I just was like, no, I won't use autotune. I don't like this. I don't want to talk about this, which is like, okay, good for me for sticking to my guns, but also stupid. Like these guys know what they're doing. So, I found myself like, what do I do? I'm in this deal, this 360 deal, which was like, I believe somewhere around 5 years, there was like if it doesn't work out, we part ways. But I was only 2 years into it and I didn't have anything. I had no education that I could get a job with. I had served food at a couple places. And I decided I was going to go to audio engineering school. That's how I was going to still make music, because if they shelf you in a deal and they don't want to let you out, you're screwed. Went to audio engineering school, happened to get a mentor who I met during that time when I was starting there and it was going well. And he was a really cool dude. He's an engineer producer. And at the end of it, he's like, listen, I'm Too Short's head engineer. And we need someone to, for free, clean the bathrooms, get food, basically like the studio bitch. You down? And I was like, absolutely, I'm down. So I went there. In my time at Too Shorts, he was great. He was a great mentor, but he's recording Too Short a lot. So there wasn't a bunch of time where he's going to babysit me and teach me stuff. It was in like free time. So most of the time I learned how to roll backwood blunts. Too Short is the best pool player I've ever witnessed in person with my eyes. So I learned how to play pool. Not only him, but like the other artists that were there, they were all good at pool. There was a big pool table. It was essentially a fantasy factory for rappers. So there was like Studio A, which was his studio. And it was a literal, like, if you're standing on the outside, it was a boom box with a window so he could see like the whole like warehouse area. He saw like a big stage with like 9 giant TVs all connected into one big TV. There was like a barber shop that was also a studio, which is what I worked out of. There was a weight room that they filmed like podcast episodes. It was crazy. But after a year, I was like, okay, I feel like this is super fun, but I want to learn more. So I hit up the Recording Connection. I technically got that internship through my relationship with my mentor, who I knew already. And I was like, part of the deal is like, you helped me get an internship. I kind of got this one. Is there anything you guys could help me with to transition to a new spot? And they said, yeah, there's one in Calabasas if you're interested. And I interviewed for it, ended up at Darkchild Studio. So everyone knows Darkchild in our generation. They just don't know it. He did like As Long As You Love Me by Justin Bieber. He did Say My Name and Cater to You by Destiny's Child. He worked with everyone from Whitney Houston to Michael Jackson. When he was like 16, he was working with Michael Jackson. So I ended up at his house for a while, and that's where I met the producers, engineers, and writers that I currently am songwriting with. When I went there, I didn't tell anyone I rapped or sang or anything. I just went there as an engineer, got to know everyone really well, and then eventually, you spend 11 hours a day, 6 days a week with people. They find out, and someone caught me writing raps. Like, what are you doing? I was like, well, I'm writing. And they're like, you rap? I'm like, yeah. And I rap he's like, come in here. You got to hear this. Like, do you know Sodie rap? They're like, no. And then I rap for it. So it became a thing. And then when I left that internship, I stayed in touch with them, and I have my own home studio where I write, and they're often the ones that send me the beats, or I go to LA, write with them in person. One of them lives in Dallas, but he comes out, and I try to get up to LA every time he's in town. He's like my main producer that I've worked with. And so that's where I'm at now with that side of it. I just talked for so long, but
It's perfect. You gave us so many doors to explore. And
Yeah.
so now you perform at the Swingin Johnsons in North County, San Diego. Or do you go all around San Diego?
yeah, well, no, we stay in North County pretty much. During that internship time, I was working like 1 day a week. We had played gigs, my stepdad Wayne and I, as the Swingin Johnsons, very sporadically. And when I finished the last internship at Darkchilds, I was like, I don't want to go work a job I hate. Like, can we try to get more gigs? And he had just retired. He was with Taylor Guitars for a long time, doing road shows and stuff. And I asked him if he's down to like go full time with it. So we slowly started working more, just, to try to get more gigs and pay the bills that way. And what happened was we built like a really organic grassroots group of people that like supported us. So it went from like 2 nights a week to 3, 4 nights a week. And the next thing we knew, like we had 6 nights a week booked at like all these amazing places in North County. Shout out the Roxy, La Papagayo, Seafire was the first place we played. It's now Mainstream West. Shout out to them. And then it grew from there. And next thing I knew, like I was in this thing where like we were overworking my voice 6 nights a week. And I don't casually sing. I do a lot of, kind of Bob Seger screaming shit, and like Tyler Childers and Chris Stapleton. You can only sing Tennessee Whiskey so many nights a week before your voice starts going,
Right.
So yeah, we do that now. We cut it back to 4 nights a week, and that's like our sweet spot. But we keep it in North County because our people are all here. When we go to a new restaurant, like our value is the people that come support us. And if we were to go, outside of that, we don't have as much value to bring to a restaurant. So it just, and there's so many places, like, why go far away? Our people are here. There's great venues here. We live here. So yeah, as far as Swingin Johnsons go, we keep it from Oceanside to Del Mar, and then we go, Escondido, Vista, occasionally San Marcos, but mostly coastal.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So I want to go back for a moment to when you leave Cal Poly to go down to LA for this 360 deal. The whole theme of this podcast is daring to dream.
Right.
So you really took that leap of faith and you dared to dream, and then you're there and you kind of see things going maybe in a different direction than you thought.
Yeah.
What was that like? What was the mindset like during that time?
I mean, when I decided to leave, that was the boldest action I think I've ever taken.
I also think it's crazy that your mom was the one who's like, "Hey, you need to come down to this thing in LA and maybe get discovered." That's so cool.
If you, like, anyone that knows us well knows that she is, like, always been my biggest supporter and pushed me to go after. She believes in my music. She always has. Since I was a little kid, she used to, like, sing for my friends, like, so it was wild though. Like, I was at Cal Poly, and when I decided to leave, there was a lot of, like, second guessing. And I had a lot of buddies that were computer science, aerospace engineer majors, like crazy stuff. I was a psych major, and I knew I wanted to be like some kind of psychologist, like helping addicts or whatever, something like that. But it wasn't until I did psychedelics that I was like, this happened for a reason. Like, I'm fully going after this. But it was strange. It was strange to, like, I had always rapped in school and stuff, and people knew me as like the white rapper in school. And when it started and I'm like posting, Instagram pictures in Atlantic studios, like, with cool people, it was a pretty, like, ego fueling few months
Yeah.
or like a year of, like, I told you so. Like, I always knew I could rap, and, like, boom, look at me now. I'm with this person at this studio. I'm going to this show. I opened for some really cool people in that time. Currency, Absol. I did a thing not really opened for, but Chance the Rapper was at the sports arena, and I did like the VIP lounge before that show, and then got to, like, walk out on the floor, like, right in the front, and watch the show. So it was, like, very validating, but almost, like, toxically validating, to where, like, it all happened so quick and I didn't have to do much. Most people grind for a while to be in that position. And I was just like, I wrote some raps in my dorm, performed them, boom, here I am. So I don't think that was good for my young brain.
Yeah, it was almost like you hadn't quite became the person that you needed to become in order to handle that level of pressure.
Even close, dude. Not even
Yeah.
close. Like, a lot of things came naturally for me, and, like, I'm still, as a 30-year-old now, like, rewiring my brain to, like, not look for quick results and dopamine. Like, I'm a dopamine fiend. I'm very aware of it, but I am. And it's like, I think that was just part of it. Like, how many people leave college for a rap deal and then it just works out immediately? Like, it did for a while, and it was really cool. And yeah. So I guess, like, at the time, until I did mushrooms, I was questioning it. And then I got this, like, I hate to say it, but, like, I had a bit of a, like, prophet complex, where I thought, like, I was put onto this type of thinking at this time for a reason. I am a conduit for this message, and I need to get it out there to people. And in hindsight, like, what the was I thinking, So
Yeah.
I got humbled, extremely humbled. Like, it was very humbling to go from that year of, like, posting all this cool stuff and, like, I'm about to be the next famous guy, to don't speak unless you're spoken to, take out the trash, go get coffee, go get this food. You gotta, I won't say who did it, but someone I worked for, like, legally in California, you're supposed to, if you have a person working for you for free, you're supposed to reimburse them for gas and stuff if they're going and doing stuff for you. And one place in particular, I had to work for a while before they would even pay. So I'm losing money working 6 days a week, which was crazy, but it was very humbling. And I think I really needed that. And now I'm, like, overly, like, I'm underconfident. I think my skill set has increased by, like, 100-fold, but I was 100 times more confident in myself before, all that happened. So I'm trying to get that back.
So it sounds like the experience was exciting and intense, but it also kinda knocked your confidence a bit.
Yeah. Yes. And it was like a big, 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 uptick, and then just the hardest fall off. So I had never had that much confidence or validation in my life to like 3 months later, like the worst it's ever been.
If we can go there for a moment, that'd be awesome just because daring to dream is such a bold move. Like, you do have to take this kind of terrifying leap of faith, and sometimes it works out and it's amazing, but a lot of the times for a lot of people, there's that high and then a really big low. So I'm really interested in kind of what that next chapter was like, where you were in the darkness a bit and what you learned from it and how you got out of it.
Um, I will say, just like the high started with, psychedelics, the low, I kept doing drugs, and you know, I overdid drugs. I didn't let my brain heal and recover from previous times that I did them, and I just kept doing it, and eventually, like, just kind of wigged out, like, did too much, had to stop. Um, and there was like residue from that for a while, like paranoia and just like depression. And I mean, when I would look back at the decisions I made that led me to, because I was in denial even when I first had issues with this deal, when I was being dumb, I still felt like, I was standing true to my what I was supposed to do. And then at a certain point, it was very clear to me that I was an idiot. And that was really hard. Like, it was very dark. You talk about like the dark, it was super dark. I felt like I was handed my dream on a golden platter, and I took a shit on that platter and threw it back in whoever handed it to me's face. Um, so what helped me and got me, it's really ironic. I used to look down on drinking, and I was so like, I was very pompous. Like, I'm like, plants from the earth and healing and I know all the answers. Like, you drink, that's bad for you, lowers your vibration, blah, blah, blah. I went from that to like anxiety, social anxiety. And here I am, like, trying to play music for strangers to make money. And I started using alcohol as a tool. I am not promoting alcohol, by the way. I'm now working on getting that out of my routine. But it really did help me with like not being anxious, not being paranoid, just being in the moment, kind of grounding me and enjoying having fun playing music for people and connecting with people. It was a lot easier for me to talk to drunk people when I was a little drunk. It was a lot easier for me to not care about potentially missing a note when I had some alcohol in my system. But the Swingin Johnsons thing that was unintentionally grown is what slowly started giving me a purpose again, brought my confidence back. And the purpose wasn't my own success as a musician. I mean, I don't think it's any musician's dream to play a circuit in a small beachside town for 10 years. But connecting with people and having people come up and be like, yo, I was having a really bad day and I had so much fun. Or I've had the worst month and you guys just got me out of a funk. Like, I can't wait to come see you again. Like, that connecting with people and making people feel good is what started making me feel good about myself again. So just, I think when you get like massively humbled, there's usually lessons there. And if you lean into those lessons, it can be like a really, really positive thing. But being humbled feels like shit. It's not a good feeling.
It never feels good in the moment. And I wanna drill in on this thing you're talking about, which is so interesting, which is this line between staying true to yourself and being authentic, and especially as a musician, being like, no, this is what I'm here to do. This is my message, versus hearing from the managers, the outside voices, because you watch like every Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocket Man, like all of these movies now where the reason the person was successful is because they didn't listen to other people. They stayed true to themselves. And so it sounds like there's this tension between hearing other people's advice and maybe being humble enough to take it in and sticking true to what you feel like is the right move.
And yeah, I totally agree. Like, what I'm saying is like, oh, I should have listened to them 100%. That's not how I feel necessarily. Specifically, those people that I'm talking about were my team. It wasn't the Mike Myers record label guy saying Bohemian Rhapsody's too long, it'll never be on the radio. Like, absolutely. If you make something that you fully believe in and it's about the art, like, you have to stay true to your art. But there's life advice. That was more what I wasn't, hey, maybe don't do so many drugs and work with these people that have helped these other people become successful in what you're trying to do. But I am a firm believer in not compromising art for anything or anyone's opinion. Because I just saw a post today from the guy that I was signed to that I still follow, and I write songs. I send them to him still, and I've sent him multiple messages like, "Hey, I appreciate you, and I am sorry for how I acted and stuff, and like one day I'm gonna get back to a place where I can like make up for that investment that you put into me, and I'll make you some money basically." But he posted like, no one sees the vision until they see the vision. Like, you as an artist have to like learn to cheer for yourself, because most people aren't going to until it's already happening.
Mm.
And that's super important. And you see people that do kind of go with trends and make stupid songs that are popular at the time, and then 2 years later, almost like clockwork, never hearing about them again. It's the artists that like really do have not even a message or but just that love the art and make the art for the art. Like, it doesn't matter who's listening, they're still going to do it. That's who is successful. And I feel like that applies to everything. Like, I'm not going to say the name, but I'm a co-host on a podcast myself, and we have 12 listeners, and I love them, but we don't do it for that. We literally just enjoy having a beer, talking to whoever. And that's why the podcast is so fun, because it's not about money, views, listens. We just like to do it.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about as we were setting up the cameras here, is that's very similar to our vibe here. We are growing, but we're almost 5 years in, and if my co-host Vinny and I were doing this for the views, we would have quit a long, long time ago.
100%.
It's just that I love the ability to sit down with someone and learn more about their life story and just really connect. Where else do you get to sit down for an hour plus uninterrupted? No one's on their phone, nothing
And you
else is
just
going
reminded me,
on.
I'm going to make sure it's on Do Not Disturb, but uninterrupted, no phones, no technology, nothing. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Podcasts are special. And like, if you host I mean, people do go on podcasts, but to host a podcast, it is a lot. And you do have to do it because you love it. No podcast started with 1 million listeners. Like, it's just loving to do it and having conversations with people. So
100%.
bravo. I'm glad you're sticking with it.
Hey, I'm glad you're doing it too. I can't wait to listen to yours.
You just did a TEDx talk. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, we'll go there for a moment, and then I want to come back to,
Okay.
I'm going to plant the seed here. We'll come back to it of maybe you dodged a bullet by not having everything take off when you were 19. We'll come back
I
to that.
definitely want to come back to that, because I've thought about that a lot.
Yeah, so the TEDx was really cool. It was kind of my biggest stage I've been on, and as someone who's done like zero performing in their life, it was nerve-wracking. Just the amount of practice and repetition that goes into it, that's something that I wanted to ask you about. When you are performing or writing a new song, like how much practice goes into that?
In the beginning of Swingin Johnsons, when we learned a new song, we would drill it over and over again. I found that learning it separately, I'll send Wayne a song that I want to learn, and I'll learn it, and I'll practice it until I'll play it a few times. But being willing to mess it up and go on stage and perform it before it's ready has been like a really good exercise. And it often works out great. And we often play songs our own way because we don't spend too much time learning the record. We learn it, and then we make it our own almost immediately. So as far as that goes, like, not much anymore. Like, I'll learn a song, I'll learn the chords. I usually memorize the words first, and that's my thing. Lyrics and words, easy. Once I get the chords and I'm comfortable, I won't even tell Wayne sometimes. I'll be like, "Hey, we're playing this new song, follow me." And he's a beast, so he can just hear and look at what I'm doing and follow. And songwriting and stuff, I haven't really performed these songs that I've written. I would probably practice them a lot more, because it's much more important to me to, like, if I wrote this song, to deliver and do it justice, as opposed to just winging it on a stage.
So one thing I've always wondered about the songwriting process, and I'm sure maybe it's different for different people, but do you write the lyrics first and then figure out what music is going to fit to it? Or do you hear a beat or an instrumental and then you're like, I want to put these words over it?
Great question. 2 answers. Back when I was just rapping, I would just write lyrics to whatever beat. Sometimes, you don't always have a great beat that you can use. Sometimes it's like you have a producer recreate something that's like this. But But I used to just have lyrics in my phone. I would think of like a metaphor, like a double entendre, and just write that sentence in my phone. When I did the internships and I worked with these songwriters, I learned what they do. And what most melodic writers do is they'll have the music and they freestyle recordings, and they'll do it 5 passes of the whole song of just melody, like da 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 da, and they're like, okay, I like that for the verse, and then they'll have a pre-chorus that's like da 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 da, so that you build the song before there's lyrics.
Mm.
And when you're doing that, there's often words that come out. So you'd be like, everybody's got him feeling, and then that might be like, everyone's got a feeling, like you like that. So you write the lyrics in around that. But you really just kind of let the melodies flow, and whatever words happen to fall in sometimes shape the song, sometimes don't. And then you get it to a point where it's like an actual verse, an actual chorus, and re-record that way. So that's how I've been doing it for a long time. And it's good because it's a lot more feeling than trying to think of a melody or pre-plan like lyrics. And occasionally it happens that way where you'll think of a lyric and write around it, but 95% of the time or more for me, it's the music. I write a melody pass and then I write lyrics to it.
That makes more sense just because you listen to some of the best songs and it feels like the words fit perfectly into the melody. And if you wrote the words first and then tried to create the music after, I don't know, I feel like it would be really hard to get that kind of perfect vibe. So
Right.
that makes sense what you just described.
And I mean, especially with pop and like stuff that's on the radio, like most people can't tell you the lyrics as soon as they can tell you, they can hum it.
Right.
And that's really what it's about. It's having a good melody. And then of course lyrics matter, but like what people are going to first be impacted by is the feeling of it. And the feeling is the melody over the music. So it's very common. There's obviously some people that do it, everyone has their own way, but that is what I've seen like kind of universally across the board.
Beautiful. I love it. Okay, let's come back to what we said we would revisit, which is
Yes.
we've all heard this thing where it's like the Disney star gets famous at like 16, 17, or even earlier. And I'm sure you've heard this before. It's like, I can't remember what it's called, but you're like frozen in time. Like the moment that you blow up and get famous, that's your mature, mature, that's your maturity and emotional development. And you kind of get stuck there.
Right.
So I'm curious, now that you're 30, looking back on when you were 19, is there any sort of silver lining or upside that you didn't blow up?
I think I'd be dead. I truly think I'd be dead. I'm a dopamine fiend, right? You get a bunch of money. Who knows what drug? I mean, I was definitely I don't do drugs anymore, but like I was into drugs. So, you get famous, you got a lot of money, you're young. I mean, Justin Bieber's a great example of like, you've seen the whole thing. Blew up as a child star, didn't know how to handle it, started acting out, had a drug phase, and then in his way came back to sobriety and now has a wife and kid, and he's like a family man and still doing it, but in a different way. But like that'd be insane to be that famous at that young. I still think your brain's not fully developed till what, 26 as a man.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been. It could have worked out, but I think knowing myself, it would have been bad. So I think I definitely dodged several bullets. And the story is still going, man. Like I've written some of the best stuff I've ever written in the last couple years, and actually yesterday, just found out that I'm getting my first actual placement as a writer, meaning the first song that I've written that's going to go somewhere and generate money.
Let's go.
Super huge. For my writing partner hit me up. He's like, we need like a pop country type thing for Meta. So like Facebook, Instagram, Meta. And so I went to LA, and I had meetings in LA for my day job, and then at night I went with him and we knocked out lyrics, melody, everything in 3 hours, recorded it, done. And I just got the what's it called? The final master yesterday, and it sounds great. So the story's still going, and I think as time goes on, it'll be more and more apparent like how important it was that I didn't succeed when I was that person. And I'm in therapy, and a lot of it is like, a lot of things we talk about are like forgiving myself for all that and understanding that it did happen for a reason, and to allow myself to like, if you think of yourself, the way you perceive yourself is like, you don't deserve this, you're literally blocking yourself energetically from certain good things, even if it's just like I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I do believe that. I do believe that the way you talk about yourself, the way you think about yourself, and like your thoughts themselves like influence your reality. And for a long time, it was like the main thing we're working on therapy is my therapist shortens your bad internal dialogue into as short of a thing as possible. And mine is you're bad.
Mm.
Like, you're bad. You fucked this up. You blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't deserve this. So we're working on getting rid of that subconscious internal dialogue. And I'm already seeing, just from working on that, like allowing myself to be like, okay, maybe you can have like a normal, happy life. And maybe you do deserve to do well in this thing that you love so much. And maybe you do actually make people feel good when you do Swingin Johnsons. And that's a good thing. And you're in some way helping people. Um, that was a whole tangent I went on, but yeah.
No, I love that, and I'd actually love to ask about your experience in therapy for a moment, just because there's so much talk on the internet right now that's kind of bashing therapy, and especially therapy with men. And I understand that there are differences between the traditional therapeutic model being a little more applicable and helpful for women,
hmm
but I've done some therapy, you're in therapy.
hmm
What has it been for you? What has it
It's
been like?
I think it's so funny that people knock therapy. Like, at its simplest, whatever description, it's just talking to someone about something. Like, it's communicating, and there's like things that sometimes, I mean, these are trained professionals that can help you work through things, but it's not like they're sitting there telling you, you need to do this. You're just talking. You're talking through things, and then maybe they'll have well, did you ever think about it like this? Or, how does that make you feel is like the cliche one. But like, I was a psych major. I wanted to be a therapist. I was in therapy. I started when I was 14. Some traumatic, crazy stuff happened, and I got put in therapy. But I've always been like a total like proponent fan of therapy. I don't understand why people knock it. I feel like it might be, I don't know, it's easier to make fun of someone going to therapy than to work through your own stuff.
Amen.
Yeah, which is like, hey, to each their own. But like, I don't care. Can make fun of me for going to therapy, but it's like I'm literally helping myself, and I can see the results. My therapist also. Have you heard of EMDR?
Yep.
So she is an EMDR specialist as well. So I've done a few sessions with EMDR, and it's not like do you know what it stands for? It's like eye desensitization, rapid movement, or something
Yeah, I
like
think
that.
it's all of those words.
Yeah, something
They
like
might
that.
be arranged differently, but I think you nailed it.
Yeah. Essentially like you're simulating REM. And there's multiple ways they do it sometimes visually with like a tool that they, make your eyes move to simulate REM. Mine is audio and tactile. So like I hold these things and I have the headphones on, and there's like a noise that goes back and forth, and the vibrations in my hands go back and forth. And then you revisit the traumatic events, like, and you just essentially, she calls it weeding, but you're working through and allowing your brain. She says like your brain is like full of these file cabinets subconsciously of events, and like when you go through certain things, your brain adapts, and it's like the Pavlovian, response thing where like you train a dog, you like press a button, or like they hear a noise and then they get a treat, and then they associate that noise with the treat eventually. It's like that with, if you had something that was super scary and you were in a car accident, like now when you get to a car, your body is going to automatically sometimes, get into fight or flight mode, or you'll panic or whatever. But you essentially go through those file cabinets and you reorganize everything, and you'll still think about the event the same way, but like your subconscious and like physiological, central nervous system responses to it won't be the same. So you can kind of like change the way that your subconscious mind reacts to stimuli.
Which is so important because the subconscious is like driving your actions and your thoughts and your feelings and your behaviors. It's that like huge underwater thing lurking beneath the
It's the
surface.
iceberg. It's the
Yeah.
iceberg, the cliche iceberg. Like the tip of the iceberg is your conscious mind, and all that underneath the water is your subconscious and your dreams and everything. I mean, it's people don't think about that, but your subconscious brain is totally driving your entire existence. And most of us go through our lives without ever fully addressing, or at least trying to maintain a relationship with our subconscious. It's crazy. But yeah, dude, I love therapy.
Yeah, it's nice to hear just because again, everyone's bashing it right now. But what's coming up for me is one thing you said around what you're working through with your therapist, reframing or rewriting the story of I'm bad,
Mhm.
and how you said that you didn't feel like you were worthy of the success. And in your own way, I'm putting those words in there, but it's
Yeah.
making me think of, do you know who Cameron Haynes is?
Yeah.
He went on the Modern Wisdom podcast recently, and this guy has achieved so much now. I mean, he's ultra marathon
Right.
runner, businessman. He has a podcast. He's definitely a influencer, like famous figure now. And at the end of the podcast, Chris Williamson was trying to be like, dude, like you've done enough. Like, how does all of this feel? And he's just saying that I don't think I'm worth any of it. And I need to just keep hammering. Like, that's his thing, like, keep hammering. And it just made me think, like, oh my God, like his existence, despite all that he's accomplished, is still terrible. And it's interesting that so many people look up to him and David Goggins and these men and women who do these crazy physical feats. I think that part's really inspiring, and it definitely reminds me like, okay, maybe I need a little more discipline in my life. But I think there's a potential problem in putting these people on a pedestal because their comfort zone is running 250 miles. The bold action that I think they need to take is going to therapy or slowing down and saying, why is it that I only feel like I'm as good as my accomplishments, which is something I struggle with all the time. But what are your thoughts around those kind of people?
I mean, I do love Goggins. I think what although you could tell he's still like a pained, tortured soul.
Yeah.
And I listened to his whole story, and I relate to it a lot. I'm overweight, and when he talked about when he first started, and he decided he was going to go out and run a mile, and he made it like 0.2 miles, and then just went and got a milkshake and started crying. And I've been there, I live there, but then he just kept pushing, and I think not only the United States, but like the world right now needs that hardness to a degree. Some of the best mentors and people that influenced me as a youngster were my football coaches, and they could not coach today with their, intensity and the way they talked to us and sometimes threw us around and smacked our helmets. Things have changed. And even when I was a kid, like to when our parents were kids, it was totally different. Like
Yeah.
there was a level to where a little softness and understanding with the youth was probably a good thing. I personally think it's gone, not just with the youth, but everyone, it's gone a little too far on this way on the pendulum. So I think there's a need for men and women that are that tough. But to idolize them, you should understand that they're not necessarily like happy people. And I totally agree with you that like running 250 miles for most people is the most insane, gnarly, not only physical, but mental thing the feat that they could accomplish. But for someone like that, I think they're more terrified of therapy and facing the things that are driving them to run 250 miles. You have to have some, whether it's positive or negative, some serious, intense internal stuff going on to push yourself that hard.
Yeah. 100%. I have not run 250 miles. The most I've done is I've done a 50 miler,
Nuts.
which is still so painful.
Yeah.
And I can say it did not come from a place of, wow, everything's going great in my life and I'm perfectly happy. Like it came from a deep sense of wanting to prove myself and see if I can handle it. And yeah, there's some positive elements to that of growth and improvement and all of that. But then there's also the really harsh inner critic just being like, you're not good enough. You can't do this.
I think that that's amazing. But like I think if everything's all good, like why would you hurt yourself? Like David talks about like running until he couldn't keep his poop in his body. He
Yeah.
shit himself and he kept running, and like his feet were broken at the end of it. Like, I don't know. I love David Goggins, but I've picked up on the fact that he's got some still deep stuff to work through. And I think I don't get why, like you say, people are knocking therapy a bunch right now. Like I haven't personally seen it. What are you seeing of people? Like, what are they saying?
A lot of people saying that it's just talking instead of taking action.
Okay.
And it's revisiting the trauma in a way that's not helpful, just kind of like over and over again.
Right.
I can't remember. There's this woman named, I think, Abigail Schreier, who her
Okay.
whole thing is like therapy is gone too far and it's hurting people. But as someone who's experienced, like, I work in the realm of coaching. Like, coaching and therapy are different, but there are similarities. I think talking through things is like the best thing ever.
I do get that point too of like if you're just rehashing a situation and not being provided tools to work through it's not really helping. It could, but like the point of therapy is like you're supposed to talk to someone who can give you tools to work through whatever things that you're talking about.
And you should be taking action. That's why I lean more towards coaching, because coaching on average is a little more action oriented than therapy. But
Right.
if you have a good therapist, like they're probably showing up in coach mode
Right.
with being like, okay, what are some action based on what we talked about today? What's one thing you could do between now and the next time?
And that happened the last therapy session I went
Yeah,
to. We talked about something and she's like, okay, cool. So what's something you can do like today that's going to prevent like this thought pattern? Like maybe delete this social media app, or like what's something you can do? And we talked about that. And I think that is good therapy. I don't think it's simply talking. I think that's a big part of it. And sometimes you just need to work through something with your own words.
for sure.
I've felt completely different about something just from the words coming out of my mouth finally. And there's some stuff you can't talk to your mom about. You can't talk to your girlfriend about. You can't talk to your brother about. Like there's just, whether it's like I've got lifelong friends that I met 5 years old to 7 years old that I'm still extremely close with. And there's stuff that I just don't want to talk to my bros about.
Yeah.
Like you don't, for whatever reason, there's the like, you don't want your bros to see you like weak or vulnerable, or even though it's not that, if you perceive it that way, that it's just a good thing, I think. I don't know. But you should have tools.
Definitely. Definitely. And as we kind of close the conversation on the David Goggins piece, what's coming up for me is a shift that I've made across the years, and I'll kind of tie in two things we talked about. One is I have a lot of appreciation and admiration for people like David Goggins and Cameron Hanes. I no longer want to be like them,
Right.
because I've realized that just because you're, air quotes, successful on the outside, like your inner landscape could be miserable. And I don't think many people who listen to David Goggins are like, yeah, I want to trade spots with him right now,
Right.
because he is definitely a tormented soul, and totally understandable given Can't Hurt Me, his first book. And I didn't read a second one, but he's been through some gnarly shit.
Super gnarly.
And that's been a big shift for me. When I did the ultra marathon, I did his 4x4x48 running challenge, which is you run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours straight. And I was definitely in a worse place mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like that was when I was really trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do with my life. I was working in finance and I was miserable. And as I've gotten more happy and fulfilled with what I do now with my work,
Yeah.
I have no desire to go do some of these physical challenges. Like my buddies who I've done the races with will hit me up and they're like, we need a suffer fest. And I'm like, I'm good. Like, I don't really want to do that anymore. And it makes me think of Ironmans. Like I really wanted to do an Ironman again when I was back working in finance and I needed an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
And now like the idea of having to train so much for an Ironman, like I might do it eventually just for the experience of it, but I'm like, I'm good. Like I want to work
Yeah.
and pour my energy into the things I'm trying to build instead of like doing it outside of my job because I hate my job so much.
And you've done it before, which is like, I think I should train for something like that because I've never done it. Like it could be really good. It could be something that as a catalyst for me getting back into being athletic and taking care of my body. But there's a point where it becomes like you're chasing this dragon and you're never going to catch it, and you're just hurting yourself. So nothing's black and white in my opinion. Everything, there's gray. But I hear what you're saying about, I feel that way about them. Like these people, like I said, are necessary and helpful overall for society. I think we need tough, hard people that are like pushing that message, but I'd like them to be happy too. Like,
That I think you nailed it. Like I love what they're doing, and the coach inside of me, like the person who has seen glimpses of what it can be like if you work through the feelings of not being enough, like that's what I want for them.
yes.
I want them to at least get a little bit of joy and fulfillment when they do the really hard thing, instead of doing it feeling like they didn't do it good enough and then having to do another one.
And it's kind of scary to see someone like that, because you're like, wait a minute, like I've thought about myself this way. Like if I just do this and I get, if I get a song that goes Billboard top 10, like I'll be happy. Or and then you see people that do it and they're miserable, and it's kind of scary. You're like, whoa. So maybe that's not going to be the thing. Maybe I have to do my own work and that'll be like a bonus or whatever. but it is scary.
That's scary, and then it's scary when you do something that has been on your bucket list for so long that you wanted so badly. For me, it was the TEDx. You do it, it goes great, like, I'm really happy about it, but it didn't change my life. I didn't feel so differently like I thought I would,
Yeah.
and I remember maybe, like, a month ago having a day where the TEDx is doing great, it's getting a lot of views, but I just had this really clear realization that no amount of material success on the outside is ever gonna change how I feel on the inside, which
And
everyone tells you that, but
right.
you have to learn that lesson yourself, I think, sometimes.
It's beautiful that you've learned that lesson yourself. That means you did something that you had been striving, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't had that moment yet. I can't wait to be disappointed by how similar my life is after I do something that I've been wanting to do for so long. A few things, but, like, you're right. But it's cool that you did it. Like, it's cool that you've learned that lesson, I think. I think that's how I look at it. Like, yeah, it sucks, but you got to experience it firsthand because you did the thing.
I appreciate that, and hopefully both of us keep learning that lesson over and over again because it means we'll keep growing and doing things that we thought would solve everything for us and then
Yeah.
realize that it's not, and I think there's a sense of there's a little bit of sadness in that, but then there's also a sense of, "Okay, thank goodness." Like, if that thing did bring me all the happiness and zest that I thought it would, then you just constantly be on that treadmill
Right.
of, "Oh, I need another one. I need more views. I need to do something slightly bigger."
Have you experienced anything in the last, whatever, couple years that you did feel that happiness? Like,
Oh.
what gives you that happiness?
I'm so glad you asked that because it was actually where I was gonna go next with the question. So the thing that does give me that happiness is looking at my life now and realizing that if me 5 years ago met me today, I would start crying. I would be so grateful and happy that I have grinded over the last 5 years to completely set my old life on fire, transform it, and then be in a place now where I'm doing the things that I said I wanted to do.
Which you told me about a bit about this and you talked a bit about it, but were you in finance? What was your,
Yeah, I was working in finance, thinking that that was my dream job,
yeah,
realizing that it was sucking my soul away and I was miserable and I had no purpose and I really wanted to find a purpose and was really lost and struggling. And then at 25, I quit my job, had no idea what I was going to do next, and went on this big adventure for the past 5 years.
that is so many people probably, I mean, I love my job, but, like, with the music thing, like, I think about that. I'm like, I want to just go for it, but everyone's scared. I'm scared. It's a scary thing. And it is amazing that you did that with no plan, not knowing where you're going to go. And you're at a place now where if you talk to yourself back then, you'd be so proud. Like, that's huge, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's got to feel incredible.
That's the thing that does bring that happiness and joy and really just like, I don't know, maybe I'm proud of myself mostly because not necessarily because of the accomplishments and the achievements, but mostly because I remember walking to work. I lived right next to my little finance place. I remember walking to work and listening to this one Odessa remix on repeat that says, like, the name of the song is Someday They'll Know.
Hmm.
And it was just me being like, I'm going to give a TEDx talk. I'm going to write a book. I haven't done that yet. But like, I'm going to live the life that I want to live. And I know it. No one else knows it yet. It's kind of like that vision piece you talked about.
Yeah,
And being able to sit here and be like, holy shit, like, I actually did what I said I was going to do feels good.
I want to feel that. I want that so bad. That's that's the best. Just following through with yourself, one thing, but, like, getting over the fear of, like, well, if I do this, you did it. So that's, I mean, I'm sure to people that you coach and people that listen to you talk, like, that's, for me, it's super inspirational. It makes me, like, want to do the same thing.
I think you're going to do it. And I want to ask you two questions. One is, what would your past self 5 years ago say about you right now? Let's start there.
He'd probably say, let's see, I was 25. He'd probably be like, wow, you're corporate. Um, he'd also probably be like, wow, I can't believe, people are actually, like, how do I say this? I can't believe, like, the Swingin Johnsons turned into such a positive thing.
Mm.
That's what he'd be like. I used to be like, not embarrassed, but like super scared to go on stage, not proud of what I did playing to, 2 or 3 people. But I gotta say, even then, I would give those 2 or 3 people like the best show that I could. And that's where I learned how to connect with people. Because it's one thing when you're playing to a packed place and everyone's dancing anyways. But like when there's 3 people on a patio and it's a little awkward and you connect with them and they love it and they come back to see you, like that's the hardest thing to do as a performer. Any arena act that I follow, like with comedy, says the same thing. It's like, yeah, you can go play an arena because even if 50% of the people laugh, you've got like thousands of people laughing. But if you're in a club at 1 a.m. at the belly room in the Comedy Store and there's 4 people, that's the hardest set of your life. So I think me from 5 years ago would be like, I can't believe that this is going so well and that, you turned it into something super positive. And I can't believe you're corporate. I can't believe you have a day job. You did it, bro. No, I did not graduate from college. I have had no experience before my current job, and I got a job. And now, hopefully that'll continue until it doesn't have to. So
Until it doesn't have to. So the vision definitely is eventually going all in on music again.
I don't know, bro. Like I'm so torn. I'm back with my high school girlfriend. We dated for a few years then, and we've been together like almost 2 years on the second round. The thing that brings me joy that I think of is like when I'm the happiest is when I grew up in an amazing neighborhood. There's like a handful of families that all had kids the same age. All the parents are best friends. All the kids are really close. When we're doing a barbecue or like when we're spending time together, pickleball tournament in one of their yards, like that's the happiest I am. And I realized I didn't think I wanted kids for a long time. And I had this epiphany, like I'm such a family oriented person. My parents are getting older. All these people I love are getting older. If I don't create a family, I'm not going to have that. And so for me, it's like the weird, like, yes, the music, I'm going to make music regardless. Like if no one ever picked up a song I wrote, I would still write until I physically couldn't anymore. But like that family, and it's not just your blood family, like the people, spending time with the people that mean the most to you, and like really just like I swear to God, pickleball tournament, couple cocktails, dinner with everyone, like I am never happier. So, oh fuck, what was the question? Damn, I got lost in my
No,
extended family.
it's perfect. 2 things come up for me. One is I have an older sister, and she just had a daughter. And I met my niece, so I just became an uncle for the first time like 4 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wild, wild. First time holding a baby.
What? Oh, really?
Yeah,
Congrats.
crazy. So I feel you. Like I think maybe I was a little more sure all the time. Like I've always wanted to be a dad. That's just like something I knew from a young age. But it's definitely something I struggle with and I think about a lot because I am so focused on my career and my mission and like impact, and I want to do this big thing like you do.
Right.
Making sure that we don't lose track of like the most important thing, which is family and relationships. Because at the end of our life, no one's going to care. When we're 112 and sitting on a deathbed, we're not going to be like, oh, thank God I had that one song that did this thing. It's probably going to be like, wow, I really enjoyed those pickleball tournaments and the barbecues with the family.
Yep.
And hopefully those people are there.
And that's what you're going to remember. That's what they're going to remember. And oh God, I think it was Eastbound and Down. Where, have you seen Eastbound and Down?
I've only seen the funny clips of Will Ferrell.
In my plums. Dude,
Yeah.
I watch that to cheer myself up when I'm down. That's
That
the outtake reel is how long have you been with her? That
and Let the Boy Watch.
Let the Boy Watch.
So good.
But the intro, I think it was Eastbound and Down. I'm pretty sure Kenny Powers was like a big famous baseball player, and I'm not 100% sure, but essentially the message is like whether you're oh no, it was Ted. It was Ted. Thank you, me. So in the intro for Ted, the movie with the talking teddy bear, the teddy bear comes alive and like there's all these stories about it, and the narrator's like, but inevitably, whether you're Justin Bieber or Macaulay Culkin or blah blah blah, like eventually nobody gives a shit, and that's like how the Ted movie starts. And I feel like that's what you're talking about, is like you could do all this crazy shit, and like even if everyone who was alive during that time remembers you, they're gonna die eventually, and then no one's gonna give a shit. and you're not taking any of it with you, as far as I would guess. I don't know for sure what happens when you die. But I would guess that like what matters is that family and the feelings that the way you made people feel and the way that you felt when you were alive and
Yeah.
the memories and stuff. Which reminded me of what I was talking about, like the going after the music thing versus the day job thing. Like I'm so torn because I want stability and security. Like love my dad, but he, his job was to be out playing music like I am now many nights a week. And like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to, I could spend time with my kids in the day and work at night, but like, I don't want to be in bars for maybe 5, 6 nights a week because kids are expensive. Like, so I started setting myself up to have the option to not do that. Um, Ideally, of course, it would be great to have my songs like continue to get placements and make money that way. Um, but even though they're not in existence yet, like my future family is like the most important thing to me. Being able to have a pickleball court in my backyard so I can host those barbecues,
Let's go, dude. Is that going to be in North County? Because I'll be there.
Dude, 100%. Dude, you better be there.
I
Now,
had,
that's the other thing. I really love it here and I want to live here, and it's so expensive.
yeah.
It is one of the most expensive places in the world to live. So it's super, I don't know, man. I'm getting to that point with my girlfriend where it's like, we talk about all that stuff and it's very scary. A couple years ago, I was like, I'd been single for like 8 or 9 years. Didn't think I was going to have kids. Wasn't really tripping about finances. Still had that in the back of my head. Like one day you're going to go all in when you believe in yourself again. And like, right when I'm starting to get my confidence back and I do deserve good things, my focus has shifted from like money and success with music to like family, like being a good dad and being a good human, and hopefully that other stuff happens too. But
And those are the good things that you deserve: family, relationships. So, dude, I'm really excited to see what the next 5 years look like for you.
thank you.
Yeah. I love your honesty and vulnerability and sharing your journey. Like 19, going for it. You're that guy. And then you kind of get punched in the face a little bit. And I'm excited to see what the next leap of faith looks like. Or maybe it's not even a leap of faith. Maybe it's like a slow walk into the unknown.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see what it looks like, knowing that you've learned some really valuable lessons and you've been doing the work on yourself to feel differently about it this time.
Yeah. I appreciate that. And by the way, I spend a decent amount of time on LinkedIn and at work and stuff. I love your posts. Like I love watching you and what you're doing. And I'm excited to see, where this takes you. Because immediately when I met you at that site SoCal thing, I'm like, this guy's cool. And then we started talking about Cal Poly, and I could just tell, I didn't know exactly what you did, but I knew like there was something like really cool about you. And the more that I learn about you, just from your posts and watching your TEDx talk and the little bit I've, talked to you today about and your input on, I talked basically the whole time, my bad, but like,
It's beautiful. Made my job easy.
yeah, good. That's how we feel too on the podcast. When a
Yeah.
guest comes on, it's like, bam. But yeah, like I'm excited to see where I want to see that book happen. I want to see, all the good things, and you're the man. Thank you.
Dude, you too. And I think we instantly hit it off. Yeah, we met at a conference, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But we've both seen a lot, given that I'm also 30. And I think because we've done things that a lot of people don't do until they're older, like people always are shocked when I'm like, I'm 30, because I've had 2 full-blown existential life crises. I've changed my career. Like I've done these things, and you've had this crazy experience in life of being in these rooms and these moments that most people never get to see.
Yeah.
So I think it just brings a lot of material to the table for us to share stories, and it's really fun.
For sure. I mean, if life was perfect, you wouldn't have much to talk about. That goes back to, part of the reason I dove so deeply into the drugs is because I didn't have anything to rap about. I'm a nice suburban boy from San Diego, and here I am like with the opportunity to be a rapper, and I found something that I thought like is rap about worthy.
Yeah.
But it ironically led me, like I remember one time, this is so embarrassing. I remember complaining that I didn't have a struggle. Like I remember being like, everything's so good. Like, what am I supposed to talk about? This sucks. Like I want to struggle. Like I want to, and I said it and the universe responded, and myself, my subconscious and my conscious brain facilitated with that. But yeah, I'm still struggling from like that moment of me complaining about not having a struggle. They're like, "Oh, you want to struggle?
Here you
Here
go.
you go."
Dude, I so appreciate you saying that because I had my own flavor of the same thing. I remember when I had just graduated college and I suddenly wanted to make something of myself for some reason. Well, I know why. As soon as I graduated college and I didn't have the like easily measurable metrics of, oh, you're getting straight A's, oh, you're doing a good job here.
Right.
That's when I suddenly was like, am I worth anything? And when I got into this personal development world, every book I was reading started with the rock bottom moment. And that was the springboard into their new life. And so I had the same exact feeling. I was like, oh, damn, do I need to like engineer a rock bottom moment for
A
myself?
little
Like,
self-sabotage, dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, we all get to those rock bottom moments in our own way. But it's refreshing hearing you say that you had those feelings because I had those feelings. And then I was like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Like, I'm feeling guilty that my life has been great.
Yeah. It's now I think it's the most ridiculous thing ever. But at the time, it made sense to me. Like, you have to go through, most art, whether it's like beautiful songs come from painful places and like a lot, and I'm an artist, so I think in an art way, but like for everyone, like being a coach, like you have to go through stuff to some degree to be able to help someone else go through stuff. Is that accurate to say? I don't want to assume, but I feel like that's the case.
I'd say yes from a holistic perspective. No from a like I can coach people around divorce or the death of
Right.
someone just because it's honestly sometimes helpful because I don't have my own stuff I'm bringing into it.
Right.
But I'd say holistically, yes.
I meant not as specific as you have to go through what they've gone through,
Yeah.
but you have to have gone through something
Yes.
within
Totally.
yourself to be able to coach someone on how to get through their own thing.
Yes.
I
like how you said that.
Yeah,
Some sort of
that's what I meant.
transformation.
Right. Some transformation, some obstacle, like, or else how do you know how to do it to be able to coach someone else to do it?
Yeah.
So,
And I think this is a good place before I ask you where people can go to learn more about you, which I will in a moment. But you nailed it when you said it had to happen that way for it to be a good story. I'm super big on, my life mantra is live a story worth telling. It's literally tattooed on my arm right here. And you can't have a good story without struggle. It's like, oh, he went for it and everything went perfect. The end.
yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
Like, where's the hero's journey? Where are the highs and the lows and the juicy parts?
Yeah.
So I think in both of our lives, all of the struggle is there for a reason. And for anyone listening, everyone listening, the struggle is such a important part of the journey.
Yeah.
And it sucks when you're in it. When you're in that dark period, it's not fun. It's super uncomfortable, but it's going to make a good story. And knowing that has always helped me get through the hard parts.
Yeah. That's a powerful thing to be aware of and think about in the moment. I can't say I've done a good job at that. I've wallowed in the darkness. I've allowed it to consume me multiple times. But then I get out, and then that's when I have the thought. I'm like, oh, that's good that happened that way.
Yeah, wallowing is step one. Thinking about it afterwards is step two.
But thinking about it in the moment, I'm going to try, if I, God forbid, ever get dark, to remember that like the other times like helped write the story that I'm able to tell now. Yeah, and if you're listening, like, dude, everyone, like, you don't know what someone's gone through most of the time. Like, I've found out by being open and vulnerable about stuff that like a lot of people relate to it in their own way. Addiction or loss or just whatever. Like, everyone's gone through some dark stuff. It's okay to go through dark stuff. And you'll most likely, everything will be fine. That's one thing I try to remember too. Like, every time I was sure I was going to die, or I was sure that my world was going to crumble and everything was going to fall apart, like, it hasn't. Try to remember those times where it didn't fall apart. Because I do believe that as long as you're trying, even a little bit, like, things work out.
Amen. I think we wrap up there. Where can people go to, actually both in person in San Diego,
Yeah.
to hear you perform? Let's start there.
Just follow us on Instagram, Swingin Johnsons. That's Swingin, no G at the end, Johnsons, one word. We post our schedule for the month at the beginning of every month. We have a Facebook page too, for all our, parents out there and, retirees. If you have, I'm kidding. Shout out to Meta, by the way. Can you cut that part out? I got a song coming out for Meta. We love Facebook. And then let's see. I mean, that's about it. I don't do what I'm trying to get better at is self-promotion. My writing partner hit me up. He's like, yo, I need a bio. I need a artist pic of you for this Meta thing. I'm like, I don't have that. And he's like, you don't have a Facebook? And I'm like, I actually don't have a Facebook. He's like, well, you need to make an artist Facebook. And then I realized why that's so hilarious is because it's for Facebook, this song. But I haven't, I'm unhappy with how I look physically. I've gained a bunch of weight over the last few years. That drinking thing that helped me, that's what I'm trying to unwind now, because if you drink a lot, that's a lot of extra calories, and then you're hungry after and you eat late at night because you're a musician, you got to eat. So I don't like how I look. I don't really take pictures of myself. This is my first podcast on camera. Super uncomfortable, but like I'm happy about it, happy to do it. But yeah, so not much. You can just come see us play and come talk to me if you want.
Beautiful. I love it. I'm definitely going to come see you. You said you play at the Papagayo. I've been wanting to go there. So
Tonight, Papagayo Carlsbad, if you want. We're also playing at a couple other places this weekend. I'll send you, but I'll just send you make sure you have the Instagram. So
beautiful. Sodie, thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you for having me. We made it happen. I'm so happy about it.
We made it happen, and thank you for getting out of your comfort zone and facing the cameras, because good things happen when you get outside your comfort zone.
Hey, listen, I don't know if it's going to be a modeling contract, but something's going to happen.
I love it, man. Thanks everyone for tuning in with us today. As always, we love you guys.
Love y'all.
If you liked this episode, please be sure to subscribe to the Dare to Dream podcast on YouTube. We want to make sure you don't miss out on any of the amazing episodes we're going to be coming out with in the future. And if you liked this video specifically, please give it a like, leave a comment, let us know what you loved. Thank you so much for being here. We love you guys.